get profit. And then they're going to write tax write-offs. Who the hell do you think they're giving tax write-offs? To themselves. That just filters out to everybody else. If you make a law, it's going to be good for everybody.
I had an argument with a lad not so long ago, and I said to him, "Look, I says a government, I says, is a bunch of people that have been elected by the main majority of the people, so that they will listen to the people in order to provide a better standard of living for everybody." And he says, no, he says, you got it wrong. He says, when a government's in, he says, they make the rules, they do what needs to be done. I says, no, they don't. I says, they're supposed to listen to the people, and they're supposed to sort of heed their advice on how to make, all the lives better, from the poorest to those who are richer. But he wouldn't have it. He just would not have it. He thinks
Well,
that's what governments are because.
they do in a way. We elect them to do what we want to do. We want a higher income. So as long as we want to make more money, then who provides the money? The corporate world. So government's always going to look at the corporate world because they're supposedly making jobs for you to get higher wages for you to buy more stuff. But then if you say, no, we want more social awareness, then that comes across as we want free money. Anytime you start talking about somebody that brings up a social government, it's about getting free social services. And it's like, no, I don't want social services. That's not a social government from what I know social government is. It means socially you're concerned that I have a job, that I have opportunity to be productive in my society, in my social experience.
Mm.
But they just, people get it as it's either capitalism or it's socialism or, if it's equal, it's communism. And it's like, the new system that we need is something completely different than anything that's out there. It's not going to be socialism or capitalism or communism. It's something completely different.
My argument was that uh, they bring out these statutes and legislation, and you don't get a vote on it.
Oh, they don't even read it. They don't even read their laws. And then they don't follow laws.
No.
I mean, when I was going through it, when I went to see the police, like, because first of all, I'm making phone calls after phone calls, and nobody's seeing that this is a crime. Yet, it's criminal. He should be in jail. I think that is the longest term for one count is 12 years in jail, and he committed it at least 10 times, at least. So the guy should be in jail for more than 100 years for the level of crime that he committed. Perjury, obstruction of justice, and fraud. Those are severe federal crimes that he committed to do what he did. I cannot get anybody to enforce that. I went into the police station and I acted as if I was going to do it. So I said, look, would I be breaking any laws if I went into court and didn't serve my ex when, I let the courts think I did, but I actually don't. And then I tell the courts that the kids live with me when they really don't. And then I lie about my income. Would I be committing any crime? Oh, yeah, that's severe. That's obstruction of justice, fraud, and perjury. You can't do that. Those are serious federal crimes. So I said, great, I'd like to report a crime. And they said, you can't walk into the Calgary police station and write a crime or report a crime. You got to make a phone call. And it's like I haven't made a million phone calls before. Why do you think I'm in here talking to you face to face? Because I've made all of those calls. So I went outside and just started crying. And two Calgary police officers came outside and said, look at you. Nobody's going to believe a word you got to say. So these police are supposed to be there to protect women against abuse, and yet that's what the Calgary police do, is try to victimize a victim even more. So then I went to a prosecutor, and she said those are victimless crimes. So we're not going to do anything about it. How do you say it's a crime that has no victim to it? It's a crime, meaning there is a victim attached to every crime. But
Well,
they
it won't be a
literally,
crime otherwise.
without a victim, they can't be a crime without a victim. But that's what they told me, is it's a victimless crime. So that's how they justified not prosecuting it. Meanwhile, it cost Canadian taxpayers well over $300,000. It wasn't only a crime to me, it was a crime to every Canadian taxpayer. So government goes in, they spend millions of dollars creating all of these wonderful laws that they pick and choose who they want to enforce it with. If you're rich and want to enforce the law, and you have a lot of judges and police in your corner, then you can enforce those laws. But if you don't want to enforce those laws because they're your buddy, they won't.
There's something very wrong in there.
So, I mean, I got a huge problem with any government going to make any law. Don't make any laws until you learn how to enforce them. Otherwise, it's a waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I should really do more of the reading on holodynamics, because it does get into what's wrong with the medical system and how to make it better. It gets into the justice system of why it cannot work. Our justice system cannot work mostly because when a judge hears evidence, he's prejudging right away as to what evidence is relevant and what isn't, based on his experience, based on his biases. The only way to know what's just is by getting all information. If you are only going to get 10% of the information, how can you possibly know what side is right and wrong?
You can't, can you?
No, and our justice system right now is based on a winning and a loser. But true problem solving means both parties win. That's how you get world peace, is you have a peace table where both sides feel like they leave being the winner. They got what they needed. They got what they were fighting for. So you need somebody in that just position. So, I mean, holodynamics explains how to make a justice system work. So we can't go around anymore saying our justice system isn't perfect, but it's the best we've got. Now is the time to create a better justice system, because it is the justice system that's corrupting all governments and corrupting all corporate world. You don't even have to focus on what kind of government system you have. You got to focus on what kind of justice system you have. That's the core root of every single problem, is your justice system. And it's the same no matter what country you live in. It's all based on the same stupidity. It's all biased. It's all based on win and lose. Somebody is always the loser in the way everything is structured right now.
Definitely.
But we don't have that mindset, because you have an opinion. If me and you were fighting, you have an opinion. Do you think that you're right? Picture the last time you were in any kind of fight or argument with anybody. Did you think you were right?
Mm.
You were wrong. Right? And
Yeah.
so is the other person. The other person you're arguing with thinks that they're right. But they're wrong. You're both 90% right, but you're both 10% wrong. And it's getting rid of that 10% that's wrong, and everybody wins. But there's no way we're going to have that conversation where you're going to trust that we can both win. because you're so stubborn in being right about something. The whole world would heal itself if we all said, hey, I could be wrong. If we all said, hey, this is what I really think is true, I could be wrong about it, but this is what I believe to be true. If you started every conversation off with that, we'd heal. I mean, if Charlie Sheen was ranting the way he is and just said, hey, I could be wrong, he opens up the possibility to learn something different. But as soon as you think you're right, you've blocked off any information from being received. And only information will solve a problem. You need all information to be able to solve every problem. But we block our own
Mm.
information from coming in by thinking our egos are always so right about everything. So, I don't know. I'm getting really, really tired. This is like a 3 hour conversation, 3 hour and 16 minutes.
How's it?
So we'll upload this as an
Yeah.
introduction to our radio show.
What length videos are you allowed to put up?
On YouTube? I don't know. It all
Mm.
depends on how much space there is. So if it's a conversation, it might be less space than a video.
Right.
So I might be able to. Otherwise, I'll put part one, part two. I'll do whatever I have to make it go up. But this is our introduction on YouTube as to our radio show. And to add on to this tape of what I'd like to see is clearly I'm still dealing with this smoking addiction. I kind of know what it is I need to do. Lots of it is I need to be productive. I need to fill my boredom time with something that feels more productive. My heart needs to be healed still. I still need to have that vision that things are changing, like that hope that something is changing. Because as long as I have hope and belief in something, then there's a will to live. So I'd like to get into more of what your story is and what your experience are, because I think it's really, really relevant. And just the meditation and moving matter. You're really good at moving matter and discovering that human capability that I don't know of yet, but I know it's possible. So that will be coming on our other radio show. And then
Yes, definitely.
I'd like to do some healing. I'd like, part of that, that conversation of anybody that's dealing with any kind of illness and doing some tracking and doing some free healing of anybody that's dealing with any illnesses or any problems that they're not able to figure out how to solve. That I'd really like
Mm.
to focus that on, because you helping me heal, and if I'm helping you heal, and other callers are phoning in and we're helping them heal, and it's free, then it'd be an
Yeah.
example of, just take what you learned here and share it with somebody else and heal somebody else.
Mm.
But I do think
Oh, that's.
eh?
I know that sort of $999 thing. Yeah, I suppose it's all right if you're going to be relying on sponsors to pay that, but doing it the other way with a mixer and that, um, you can have your show as long as you like. You could
Yeah.
have it literally running 24/7.
Yeah, no, if we can do it that way, then we'll do it that way. Obviously, we don't mind spending time on it. And if we're
Oh
doing any
no.
form of tracking, if it takes 3 hours to help somebody else out, it's well worth it. It gives me a purpose, you know. I'd like to see donations, but I'm not doing it for money. But we all need to support each other. That I'm not focused on any money. I'm not going to ask for any money other